What's up, players? Welcome to episode number 79 of Ready Press Play. And I almost peaked my audio there. Your weekly source for everything that's new and exciting in the world of video games. Every Friday at 6 a.m. Pacific or 9 a.m. Eastern Time, we'll discuss the top news of the week, notable releases on all platforms while we're playing, big topics of the industry, and the games we love. If you want to write anything to be read in the show, go to ReadyPlayNetwork.com or hit us up at Ready Press Play on Twitter and TikTok. No matter where you found us, please subscribe to the feed so you can get every new show directly to your device as soon as it posts. And if you like it, please leave us a nice review. This is July 16, 2021. I'm your host, Daniel Lima, and I'm joined as always by my wonderful co-host, Mr. Louis Menchaca.
You know, Dan, I finally decided to actually play a game other than Smash and Fortnite, and now we're not even doing impressions.
Did you really?
Yes.
I'm looking forward to hearing all about it next week. Are you now? Do you have any tease of what it is?
Nah, I'd
No,
rather just hold
no.
on to it. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. Also, side note, for those that are watching the video, we have like a little splash screen saying that Ready Press Play is about to start. So we play that during the music intro. And Dan was doing a little dance, but nobody can see him because we don't have that recorded. So just throwing that out there.
Oh, okay, that's right. I always forget, it's funny. Whenever the music starts playing, my mind goes to, okay, people are watching us now. So at this point, I got to be aware of the fact that I'm on camera. Like, I can't, like pick my nose or scratch my balls or do all these other things that I would be doing otherwise, right? And then I realize now that, it was all a waste. I could have been doing that all the time. And as long as so yeah, you're right. When the song ends, that's when people can see us, right?
Yes, when you're like, "What's up, air players" and all that stuff, that's when people get like. I transition the scene
Yes,
over.
yes.
Yeah, so
I gotta be a little bit more aware of that. Lewis, we talked for like the last 2 weeks now, I think, about this crazy Kojima conspiracy theory with this game named Abandoned coming to the PS5. Some indie PS5 exclusive, all sorts of ties to potentially Silent Hill, potentially Kojima, and etc. And there's another update to the story, so I wanted to just kind of bring it up as a warm up
ugh,
to our show here in the beginning. The update is from Push Square, reported by Sammy Barker. Abandoned PS5's real-time trailer app renamed Real-Time Experience app. So here's the tweet from Blue Box Game Studios. We have changed the app name from Real Time Trailers to Real Time Experience, so the app will be released as Real Time Experience. What can you expect? Multiple trailers with an asterisk, with duration between 5 to max 12 minutes, gameplay demonstrations, future live events, and then the asterisk says when available. Now, come on, what's going on with this game? Like, this is so fucking weird.
I have no
I almost
idea.
I almost feel like I want to keep doing like a weekly update on this. Like, I mean, why, where in hell why would I don't know if I say where, when, or how here, by the way, because all of them are applicable, or why. Yeah, like this supposedly small studio that we know almost nothing about, like, is making an app for the PS5 that their trailer is going to be released on, which nobody has ever done before. Then they push back the release date off their app last minute. Now they write a tweet saying they're renaming the app, and I just think this is hilarious because in a typical scenario, this is useless information. This is not the kind of thing that you even write a tweet about, right? Hey, our app that has not even released yet, that you don't even really know what it is because we haven't been clear about it, but this app that we're going to use to release our game trailer on, like, actually, we want to write a tweet telling you that we're renaming it before it even comes out. It's not like you're renaming a game. You're renaming an app. And then, and then here's what you can expect: future live events, gameplay demonstrations, multiple trailers, 5 to 12 minutes. Like, what kind of like indie little horror game has trailers that are 5 to 12 minutes long?
And multiples of them, yeah.
Besides, yeah, like this tweet almost feels like a crafted, like like a like it was intentionally crafted for people to try to pick apart. You know what I mean? like like 5, 12. Like, why would you specifically say that? Now, I might be becoming like too like I might be going too far down the conspiracy hole, but I don't even know anything about Silent Hill to pick it apart, but I'm just saying this feels like a tweet that was crafted to give people fuel to come up with shit, even if it's not real. So I don't know. Also, I just want to throw something else out there. This is probably a complete coincidence, okay? I don't think this is related to the conspiracy at all, but I want to point it out anyway, okay?
Okay.
So they're renaming the app from real time trailers to real time experience. Real time experience stands for RE,
Oh my
right? Like
god.
the acronym would be RE,
No,
Resident
no,
Evil.
no. Absolutely not. That is a stretch. But I'm going to tell you this. Let me ask you this. Dan, if you were an indie developer, like a struggling indie developer in his shoes, if you had a internet conspiracy come up, wouldn't you want to like just play into it to drum up hype for get some sales figures under for your bottom line? Wouldn't it also
I
make sense for
probably
him to
would.
like, juice it a little bit, like kind of like, you know, add some fuel to the fire even though you know you can't deliver, but you know you'll get some profit?
I definitely would because the most difficult thing with indie games nowadays is discoverability. Like so many great, excellent indie games come out that people just never hear about because they don't even know they exist. So the fact that this has helped this game come up on so many people's even if it ends up being a disappointment that it's what people expected, there's still a lot of those people that will end up buying the game just to see what it is that would otherwise have just never heard of it.
Yes.
So it's the whole thing like no PR is bad PR, or I can't remember the exact saying, right? But like any kind of advertising you get, even if it's for a negative reason, it's still advertising. People are still hearing about your game. They are more likely to buy, like people are just generally more likely to buy a game that they've heard about than a game that they've never heard about at all, right?
Right.
So yeah, so just wanted to kind of bring that in. I'm still in the boat of like there's something like fishy here. I don't know what it is. Lewis, are you in the boat or not?
I am 50-50 on this one. Like, I think I'm buying into the
Okay.
hype a little bit more, but I'm also like going to just, keep like a yardstick away from this conspiracy theory so I can at least have plausible deniability and say, nah, man, I was, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're trying to keep it cool. You're trying not to get your hopes too high. I get that. I get that. That makes sense. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up here is just because it's kind of a continuation of something we are talking about last week as well when we talked about the Switch OLED. I think we brought up like there's no way that this actually warrants being like $50 more expensive than the Switch, which has stayed at the same price 4 years after release. Well, Ars Technica just posted an article recently. This was written by Kyle Orland. That Nintendo's OLED model Switch is estimated to cost just $10 more to produce than the regular Switch. Um, so there, you can get into the details and the shenanigans here in this article, but this just seemed to confirm our theory. That it doesn't warrant the price increase. That they really could have just probably dropped the original Switch price down to like 250 or something and released this one for $300, right?
So, if I'm a betting man, I'm going to say holiday 2022 is when it hits 300.
Mm,
Because it's coming
okay.
out in October. There's no way they're gonna do a Black Friday sale like a month after release for 300. So they're gonna make it look like they're gonna reap all the benefits for like the first holiday, and then they're gonna make it sound like they're giving you a deal next year.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it feels like Nintendo only does that when they're not selling it though. So I think it's going to depend on how much this hardware is going to sell. So
Hmm.
if people still buy it like in waves at 350, maybe not. But I can
Oh,
I I can see it happening even more likely like that you're right if if not enough people buy this holiday season.
ooh, that's kind of grimy, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, think about what happened with the 3DS, right? Like that where
The eighty
it
dollar,
came out at
yeah.
$250 and then yeah, got a
The
massive price cut like early on.
All right, cool.
All right. Lewis, do you want to get our sound effect ready? We're going to go straight into the meat of the show today. So, let's get started. It's time for topic of the show.
Dots, dots,
A little
dots,
late
dots.
there, but
I know, right?
yeah, I like that. I like that. Yeah, we could do a little ASMR, Lewis. We thought about that. Maybe we
Yeah,
could
I
bring in
have.
some little ASMR on the.
I'm pretty sure we've
Which, by
whispered
the way,
into this podcast before. So,
did you see that there's this new like Twitch meta thing now for like Twitch like e-girls to do on the platform, which is no longer
oh yeah,
ASMR, but it's like a step further. Have you seen this?
yeah,
It
I've
is.
like some very squishy sounding ASMR stuff, and yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
and there's a thing now called ear licking ASMR, I think, where they'll have these things, right, the ASMR things around their mics, and then they'll lick it. They'll spend like minutes licking it. And it was a thing where like it was like a few weeks ago where I opened Twitch and I was going through stuff, right? And then I saw like this girl doing that to like, obviously like tens of thousands of viewers and shit. And then I was like, "Oh, this is weird." I feel like this is kind of crossing a line here a little bit. Like
You feel
I'm not that
violated.
I'm not that Puritan, but I'm like, and I almost felt a little violent. I was like, I don't consent to this at all. And then I get out of it and I start like scrolling through like other, kind of like shit on the ASMR category and etc. And I realized that it was like a lot of people were doing this. So it's like a new trend.
I've heard of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't even know if it's still trendy because that was a few weeks ago. But if it still is, I don't know how I feel about that. But anyway,
you
that's
already
not
know
what our
how I
topic of
feel
the
about
show.
that. You already know how I feel about it. I'm not going to repeat myself. So, yes.
Yes, you can go back a few episodes to listen to that if you'd like. That's not our topic of the show. We're gonna leave like ear licking ASMR for a future topic of the show, perhaps.
You know
But
what? For you YouTube
for
people,
now,
bam, card right there. So,
Lewis, I want to talk about release dates. Something that I realize we don't have a lot of right
yeah,
now.
they're in short
We
supply.
actually, yeah, they are kind of in short supply. We have no release dates for any of the upcoming PlayStation games that we know about, as far as I can tell.
Okay.
We have no release dates for a lot of the major Nintendo games that we presume are in development or that we know are in development for a long time, like Metroid Prime 4, like Breath of the Wild 2. And we have no release date for a game that was supposed to come out a year ago, which is Halo Infinite.
We have no release date for a year that's for a game that's still coming out this year. Horizon.
Yeah, I know. And we're already in July.
Yeah.
So, obviously, I'm guessing that might be a factor of the pandemic, but it's normal to have games in the horizon that we don't have release dates for. But when I was preparing this topic, I realized that we have an almost abnormal amount of games that we don't have release dates for, to the point where I came up with a list of 20, and I could have added many more if I wanted. I am not even adding speculated games to this list. This is games that we know about, that we've seen in some capacity, for the most part.
They've been
There are
shown
some
or
that are a little
announced. Yeah.
iffy. Yeah, but games that have been shown, announced, named with at least like a code name or something, and that we know are in development and are coming out supposedly sometime relatively soon. When I say, let's pay attention to the relative there.
Yeah.
So
Let's just say
I
that
want
this
to,
console generation, because I don't know.
yeah,
I'm pretty
yeah,
sure like
good,
two of these are going to be like a vaporware kind of like Kingdom Hearts 3 situation where they get announced at the early onset of the generation but don't come out towards the end of it.
exactly, like dreams, right?
Like Dreams, yes.
So that could totally be the case for some of those. So I thought it would be fun to go through the list with you and to do probably our most long-term prediction game yet. Trying to predict the release dates for these games. Now, I think having to predict, an exact day is a little too much. We'd probably be here for a really long time if we're doing that. So instead of doing that, I want us to come up with a year and a month. Now, I don't want us to be saying spring whatever here or fall whatever. We got to say September, November, October. And now here's how we're gonna, when we are eventually scoring this, probably like 5 years from now. Here's how we're gonna score it. When I came up with this, let me know if you agree. If you got the year right, but just that, you get a point. If you get the year and the quarter right, meaning you predicted September, but the game came out in October, you predicted October and the game came out in November, or whatever, then you get 2 points. But if you get the month right, and theoretically also the quarter and the year, then you get 3 points, and we'll see whoever has the most points. I almost feel like we could do like a yearly check-in on this, by the way,
Okay.
to see how it's going. Maybe it will be another one of those topics that becomes a recurring thing that we sometimes forget to do anyway.
Yes.
Um, so are you down to do this?
All right,
Are
I'm
you down
down.
with the
This is
rules?
good. These are good
Okay.
rules.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. So I have those in alphabetical order. Do you want to go through them in alphabetical order, or do you want to jump around? Maybe go to the big ones first.
Let's jump around and do the big ones first here. Let's go with most
Okay.
anticipated.
All right. So I'll let you pick a starting point and regale me a little bit.
Okay, Breath of the Wild, obviously. Like
Okay.
Breath of the Wild 2 is easily going to be one of the most anticipated games on this list. Not to say that this list isn't like any chummy, but I'm already going to tell you right now, 100%. You can take this to the bank. This is like my most surest release window here that I can come up with out of any game on this list, bar none, and that is November 2022. That's where I'm staking my claim here on this one.
I think I don't. I already wrote one here, but I think it's the same. So let me pull it up. Yep, November 2022 for me as well. That's one where we're either both gonna get points or neither of us, because I agree with you. I think it makes sense. I think it's one of those situations where this game will end up having coming out a lot longer after Breath of the Wild 1 than I would have anticipated. I mean, at that point, it will be like 5. But the way things are looking like right now, the fact that we have still not gotten an official title, I believe the fact that we still have not really seen that much of the game, really, I mean, as far as I can tell, we haven't seen like a full like gameplay look or anything like that. It's really just been these trailers that have all sorts of cryptic information in. It feels like this game is still far off, still at least a year away. And when you think a year from now, that's already July 2022. I think it makes sense for this to be the big fall game for Nintendo next year. So
Yeah,
I'm with you.
I was just gonna say, like, usually like it's like the Friday before Thanksgiving is usually like a big fall game for Nintendo, and they always like put a slot in there. I
Mhm.
can think of like many a years where they've done it before, and I feel like this is gonna be like one of those kind of headliner situations, and they would want to put Zelda there in that like prime real estate spot. Um, and so, if it were to come out in the spring, like I know they gave a whole blanket like 2022 at E3 and stuff. I think the only reason why I wouldn't even want to say early 2022 is because if they were even planning it, they would have said it, spring or
Yeah,
something. Or,
yeah, I think you got a good point there.
all right,
Now,
I'll let you go.
perhaps
I'll let you pick
another
next.
one that we can get to now, which is also pretty big and highly anticipated, and has been highly anticipated for a while, is Halo Infinite, which we just mentioned. We've seen this game plenty of times now. It was supposed to be the launch title for the Series X, the reason to get a Series X, and it missed that window. And then, initially I thought maybe it was going to be like a spring 2021 game or something. Well, now we already know it's holiday 2021. But we got into July and we still don't have a date, which could mean a lot of things. So I'm going to make a prediction that is perhaps a little bit risky, because I'm going to predict that they still make it this year, and they make it at the date that they originally intended it to before. That they're a little concerned about it right now, but that they're still going to be able to take it to the finish line and release this game in November of 2021.
You know what?
So,
Honestly, Dan, I was thinking the exact same thing, but just to like not be too agreeable, I'm gonna change my prediction. Okay, first off,
okay.
I'm gonna throw this out there. I was thinking like the 1 year anniversary of the Xbox Series X launch which would be like the 20th anniversary of the original Xbox launch. Master Chief is 20 years old. I was thinking like a big blowout.
Yeah.
That's honestly like my God's honest truth. I bet you that's what they want internally. But here's where I'm gonna differ. I'm gonna be like I'm gonna say that there's gonna be some kind of fuck up, some kind of situation where they're like, we need 4 more weeks, so we're gonna do like a cyberpunk situation where just wait 4 more weeks. I know we've gone gold, but a little delay here. So I'm gonna go with December 2021,
Okay.
just so that
Okay.
way,
I can see that.
number one, like I'm sure the intention is there, but they're gonna do that thing where like Final Fantasy 15 has been delayed 3 more weeks or whatever. Final Fantasy 7 has been delayed 4 more weeks. Like it's gonna be a
Yeah.
situation where they're gonna look like total assholes with their pants pulled down and stuff like that. Showing a little incompetence. That incompetence that we've been seeing from Xbox Halo team as of late. I would say
Hmm.
so. Not to say. I know it's sounding like I'm throwing shade, kind of a little bit, but not too much shade. It's more of like instead of casting judgment, it's more of like it's just the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah, here's the, it's, I don't know. Like I have no insider information about it or anything, but I guess I gotta give you a little bit of credit for calling out, like, whenever you say like where there's smoke there's fire and that kind of thing. Like there must have been some issues with this game because they changed leadership towards the end. They had to take a whole extra year. We still don't have a release date, which at the least shows that they're not confident about it, right? Like that they're not. If they were confident about it hitting a specific date, then they would have said it already, right? Like Bethesda with Starfield, they're
Yeah,
confident.
they put an
Like,
actual hard date on that on
yeah,
Starfield. That's crazy.
even though you've argued earlier in this year on the predictions episode in the beginning of the year that I listened back to recently, you were saying, Starfield is vaporware, we won't see it forever and etc. But Bethesda seems to think otherwise. They seem to have their ducks in a row. It seems like they do believe they're gonna have the game ready November next year and etc. And giving a hard date to it. With Xbox, you can tell like they're not there yet. So yeah, I could see a situation. It's not beyond the realm of possibility that this game even gets pushed to 2022.
Yeah,
I just
January or
feel
something
like
like that. Yeah.
I just feel like that would make them look so bad that it's one of those things where they'll do everything in their power to prevent it.
Yes. By the way,
So
just want to say this out there, throw this out there. If they manage to do January 2022, it's still technically holiday 2021. If you want to like stretch the truth or whatever. So that's why I'm saying like I'm going to say giving them wiggle room,
or
you know.
our game is coming out on New Year's Day. Still holiday. Well, we didn't tell you what holiday, We're coming out on Easter. I don't know.
Yeah,
All right,
exactly.
Lewis. Pick your next game from the list.
All right, so we've done a Nintendo's big game, we've done Xbox's big game. So let's go to PlayStation's big game. I would say the most anticipated PlayStation title would be God of War Ragnarok.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna guess I'll go ahead and just throw my hat down here, and I'm gonna go with um, let's go with July 2022. I'm gonna say that if there's a possibility that this game was in some way, some shape or form intended for this year, then fine. We're not gonna give them late next year. We're gonna give them like prime time, like Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, real estate here, and give them the summer. And also, I've been noticing that with when the entire PS4 generation, almost never was there ever an actual like holiday title for PlayStation. It's always been leaning on the third parties like the Call of Duties of the world to make the holiday lineup. So I'm gonna just go out and say that the game is gonna be done when it's done, and it's probably gonna
Hmm.
hit summer. So July 2022.
I think that's a pretty good prediction. And I was about to predict March until I had a thought process here and I decided not to anymore. I'm gonna go with October 2022, but knowing that I could see it coming out in July, I could see it coming out like in a few different points in the year. I do think this game is gonna hit in 2022. Um, I don't believe they ever really expected it to come out in 2021, but they also would not have put that date on it if they knew the game was years out.
Yes.
So I think it's safe to say it will come out in 2022. I could see it being earlier in the year, just like I could see it being in the fall. So because you predicted summer, I'm gonna go ahead and predict
Fall.
October. I'm gonna go ahead and predict fall, and I'm predicting fall because I don't want to predict spring, which is when I think Horizon Forbidden West is gonna come out. So I am predicting that Horizon Forbidden West does not come out in 2021, and it actually comes out in March of 2022, exactly 5 years after the original Horizon came out, and thus putting that game in the same year as Breath of the Wild 2, just like Breath of the Wild 1 and Horizon came out in the same year.
So let me ask you this: is Horizon still technically a 2021 title? Like, is it still like marketing PR speak, like still being talked about as a 2021 title? Because I swear I must have heard something about a delay by now.
I don't think so. I think it's still officially 2021. They haven't dated it. But I think there was something. There was definitely something a few months ago where they like Sony put out a post like talking about like their 2021 games with some like revised release dates, and I think Horizon and God of War were not included in it, which is what led to a lot of the speculation starting.
Hmm.
Um, but I could get that wrong. I don't remember it that well, but I don't think there's been an official delay yet. I think the game is still slated to come out in 2021.
Okay.
But I can look it up.
I'm gonna go with February 2022. Simply, I mean, I kind of would agree with March as well, but I am thinking to myself that Sony is in the business of releasing games when they're done. I don't think they pull a Nintendo and like sit on a game because Nintendo has known to sit on a completed game, you know, and release it whenever their strategies say so. So my thinking is, if this game is truly an intent like full on intentions of releasing this year. If there's going to be a situation where they need a little bit more time, they'll go ahead and release it in February. They have released exclusives in February as well, like PlayStation exclusives in February. So they're not above, you know, putting that out there. I think what was it? What was that? Like
Dreams.
Days Gone, yeah, or Days Gone has come out in February. I want to say, and yes, Dreams too. So you know. So yeah, I'll go with and give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they're gonna be done early 2022.
Yeah. So Wikipedia says 2021 for Horizon, but the official page on the PlayStation website doesn't have anything. It just says release date to be confirmed. So yeah, I don't
Okay.
know. Um. All right. So I kind of did like you brought up Horizon. Do you wanna pick the next one?
Sure. Let's go ahead and do third party here. And let's see, a third party game that's big but not but and very anticipated. You know what? Fuck it. Let's just go with vaporware. Uh, Grand Theft Auto 6.
Okay.
This is
So
the farthest out we can go.
there was a story. I don't even know, by the way. I put the table that I have that we're going through. I have the dates where they were revealed, like the years where these games were revealed. And for GTA 6, I put an NA because I couldn't quite tell. There's been like ramblings of it for a while, but I don't know if it was ever like super officially confirmed. There's been like people from Rockstar whenever they're interviewed in places like Kotaku and stuff, they're like, "Yeah, we're working on GTA
It's
6,"
gonna
but
be a big
there
map.
hasn't been like
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, like there hasn't been like a review, I guess. But um yeah, like that game, man, it's there was a story I think last week that was part of our extra news where somebody talked about how like the game might still be 3 years or 4 years out or something like that. So, I don't know, man. I'll let you start with this one.
Let's go ahead and put out November 2026. I'll go ahead and
Okay.
go as that far out here because I think it'll what would that be like 13 years or yeah 13 years after the Grand Theft Auto 5. It gives them like a decade to play with as far as Grand Theft Auto 5, Red Dead Redemption 2, and then Grand Theft Auto 6.
Okay, so I just checked the release date for GTA 5 and it was September of 2013.
Okay.
So, I'm going to go ahead and say September of 2020. We're in one, then there's two, three. You know what? I'm gonna be a lot more bold than you are with this one, and I'm gonna say September of 2024.
Oh, sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm gonna guess sooner rather than later. And here's why: because when you think about September of 2024, we are in July of 2021. That is still 3 years away. So you're going 5 years from now. I'm going 3 years
I'm
from now.
honestly thinking they're not even like fully like underway with like production. Actually, they technically should be because of Red Dead Redemption, but I'm
I
more
don't
of
know.
like the mindset of Rockstar takes as long as they want, however long they want, and also not to mention when it comes to their ambition, they will get every minute detail right before releasing a product. As far as like population density, AI, Grand Theft Auto 6 is gonna be what Cyberpunk was promised to be, if you think about it.
Mm-hmm. Good
So
point. Good point.
there's going to be so many mini games. It's going to have mod support. It's going to do what? It's going to have all the bells and whistles. It'll basically out GTA 5. Basically, is how I'm seeing it. So with that being said, I'm giving them like, you know what? Take all the development time you need. Come out at the end of the console generation. Who the hell cares? You'll still sell.
Right. That's true. That's true. Now they did that last time. They were
Yes.
at the end of the PS3 generation. So um now I think from now on I'm probably gonna be a little bit more optimistic with things coming sooner versus you're gonna be more pessimistic with things coming later, right? Or I don't even
Yeah.
maybe I don't even we shouldn't even call it pessimistic actually because it's not like it's necessarily a bad thing, but
Yeah, everything is
and
vaporware in my eyes. Yeah.
yeah, in similar energy, we're gonna go to another sixth entry in a franchise and talk about Elder Scrolls 6.
Another
Now,
vaporware.
now here's the thing. This is one where I'm sure I'm gonna also be a lot more optimistic than you would be, but fuck it, I want to be the optimist today on this topic. I have the set for Oh, you know what? November of 2025. And that's my optimistic look into it. So 4 years from now. Here's why. Starfield,
Hmm.
they're in full development on Starfield. It
Okay.
comes out November of 2022. So I believe that from the moment Starfield is out, that from that point on, it will take them 3 years to get Elder Scrolls 6 done. And here's I say that knowing that Elder Scrolls 6 is already in development in some capacity, just not full force. I believe as Bethesda approaches the end of Starfield, they're going to slowly transition their devs to Elder Scrolls 6. So I think we're going to see some development on Elder Scrolls 6 next year, and I think after that in 3 years, I think they'll make the game. So it is bullish when you think about it. So even though 2025 feels so far away, it is still kind of optimistic.
I'm not gonna give you flack for that because if you think about how much extra more resources Microsoft money is doing for them, um, I would even go as far as to say is like what is like the what is like the history of like the releases from like Fallout 4 and all that stuff? You know, what's the cadence? Is it like is there more output than we give them credit for? You know what I mean? Like so, I would even go as far as to say you might be right. So
You,
I think I'm gonna
I'm gonna
just
pull up their schedule by the way because you're right. Like, so let's look at the tens for Bethesda
okay
game studios. They put out Skyrim in 2011, then Fallout 4 in 2015, which was four
4
years
years.
later.
Okay.
And then I'm skipping the re-releases and the weird like side projects and etc. But then Fallout 76 was 3 years after that in 2018, and then now Starfield is set up for 4 years after that in 2022. So like 3 to 4 years between projects. Now in the middle of this, we also need to consider they did a bunch of Skyrim special editions, Skyrim VR, Fallout VR, Elder Scroll Blades on mobile, Fallout Shelter. So those are all like kind of like side projects that I assume they will have like a small group of people in there making. Um, but their cadence has been like they'll put out like a big game if you consider Fallout 76 that every 3 to 4 years.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
let's go. I'll go ahead and just you know what? Fuck it. I'll give him the GTA 5 prediction. November 2026. You know what? I'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and both stick it out on for November, but we'll just do 1 year apart. I almost kind of want to retroactively change my my GTA
Do it.
prediction to September of 2026 instead, so that way they're not
Okay.
competing with each other. Maybe. Yeah.
Go for
Am I
it
allowed to?
if you
Okay.
want to.
All
Yeah.
right. All right.
I
I'll
don't
do
care.
that.
I figured that could happen because as we're thinking about this, it's like, wait, but would they do that? Like, would they like it's like Sony, right? Like, would they put out Horizon and God of War in the same month?
Yeah.
Probably not. So then you like go back and you want to change it. So I totally get that. And you can pick the next game as well.
All right. Let's go ahead and talk about Bayonetta 3. It's definitely an anticipated Switch game, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I am. It's like really weird because Platinum Games has been known to just put out a game like just like that. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And also they've had games canceled on them like from Xbox and stuff like the like Scalebound and stuff. So I'm surprised by how much output they can pull off, but also like it almost kind of feels like they just signed their lives away like constantly with so many contracts at one time. Wasn't there like a situation where like Platinum had like 5 games concurrently in development or something like that, or I don't remember, but
Yeah.
isn't
Yeah,
it?
there have been things like that. Like so, just so you see, like their recent output in 2016, they worked on Star Fox Zero, Star Fox Guard, TMNT game. Then on 2017 they released Nier Automata, Lost Order. 2019 Astral Chain. 2020 they remastered The Wonderful 101. And then they have two games with a release in 2021. I'm not sure if they're out or not yet, but World of Demons and Sol Cresta. And then they have four games in development with not announced release dates, which are Bayonetta 3, Babylon's Fall, which I believe we saw at a recent like summer gaming thing, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, and Project GG. And they at some point had Scalebound in development, which that got canceled. So, yeah, they almost make an average of like a game a year, if not more.
Yeah.
So you would have expected Bayonetta 3 to already come out. I kind of feel like it must be at the verge of coming out, though. Really,
If it was, we'd
that's
see it.
my
We would have
take
seen
on it.
trailers or some like promotional material by now. Like I'm gonna throw it out here and say October 2023. I'm thinking that it came out in October of 2014 was Bayonetta 2, so I'm just gonna go ahead and give them that October like ooh Halloween kind of release window. But I'm gonna go ahead
Hmm.
and just put it out 2 years out because I think this game may be going through some kind of development hell because
It could.
we have not seen a damn thing since the Game Awards back in 2017. And like every time one of the directors, the game director says, "Oh yeah, it's coming along," and that's like literally, oh, that's like the only word we've been getting on that game. So, no, I don't
Yeah.
believe it.
Yeah, that's one of the games that has been announced the longest in this list. Like you pointed out, 2017. I am giving it September of 2022. So once again, I'm being more optimistic than you. I think we maybe see it at the Game Awards again this year, and then they work on it for another like 10 months or whatever, and then it comes out.
We've been saying that for every Game Awards. Like, oh, we're going to see it at the Game Awards this year. You know what I mean? It's like what's that one? It's like the Last
Yeah, well,
Guardian all over
we'll
again.
see. Yes, yes. Or the infamous Metroid Prime trilogy on the Switch,
Oh yeah.
which I remember. I actually remember people predicting that for like the Wii U, like like that it was they were going to do a Metroid Prime trilogy for the Wii U.
Yes.
Um. Anyway, all right.
Your turn.
So next one here, let's see. I'm gonna pick Hellblade 2. So we saw this in 2019. It was the first game that was announced for the Series X, I think,
Yes.
with the announcement of the console during the Game Awards. And we haven't really seen much from it yet. It actually comes across like that game is earlier in development than we would have otherwise anticipated. I would have wanted to see it come out this year, but it looks like that's not the case yet. So I am putting that one in November of 2023. I think
Whoa.
that, yeah.
Huh.
So here's the one where maybe I'm being the pessimistic one now.
Yeah. I'm thinking that this game is like a 2022 game. Like since
It could be.
all right, I'm going to go with October 2022. And here's why I'm thinking that. Cuz they already gave November 2022 to Bethesda with Starfield. So I'm sure
Hmm.
that they're going to want to space it out a month apart, and then they're going to do that thing where it's like Xbox has the greatest holiday lineup ever, and they're going to have like a September like Forza game, and then this as the October game, and then Bethesda as the November game, and then some other game as a December game. So they're like, look at all our exclusives and stuff like that. They've done that before, like that sizzle reel before, and I want to say that I just want to put it,
Scalebound,
yeah,
Fable
yeah.
Legends, Crackdown 3, Phantom
Exactly.
Dust.
Yes, exactly. Like I want to. I'm like thinking. I'm thinking marketing speak here. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
I'm going with like a robust holiday lineup for next year, and yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I think there's almost an equal chance for you to be right than there is for me to be right. I'll tell you why I'm going with a little bit farther though for this game. Like I said, this was the first game we saw that was announced for the Xbox, right? But then this year, think about their showcase. Think about how focused on games they were, and how many games we saw, and how many games had a 2022 release window at the end.
Yes.
I just kind of feel like if Hellblade 2 was closer to release, that we would have seen it in that showcase. So to me, the fact that we didn't see it in that showcase kind of puts it in my mind that this game is far. Um, and my theory, and I brought this up in the podcast before, is that I think Xbox wants Ninja Theory to be their Naughty Dog. They want Ninja Theory. They're not there yet, but they want them to be that studio, that like prestige, like where they're going to be making these like highly polished linear experiences that are like emotionally driven and have like a strong narrative and all that stuff, and like their game of the year contender. stuff, because they don't really have that studio yet. And I think that Ninja Theory from their portfolio to me, and it's not like their other studios aren't great, but they're the closest one to making that kind of game. When you see Hellblade, that is one of the closest like games to like a Sony game, than any of the other stuff that Xbox makes, which are more like either multiplayer, like Sea of Thieves, or like first person shooter, like Halo and stuff like that. So, because of that, I think they'll give them plenty of time. I think they're gonna want this to be like extremely polished and as good as it can be. So I think they're gonna give them the extra time. And I think 2023 is what I'm going with there.
I'm just gonna. I just want to say, like, I want to give one more argument for my
Yeah,
optimism here. They got an engine, they got assets, they got 3D models already made. I'm sure there's got to be a way to Majora's Mask this hoe. You
yeah.
know,
Besides,
which
Hellblade One is
Breath of the Wild 2 didn't Majora's Mask this, and even they promised us to more Majora's Mask this, but whatever.
besides Hellblade One is kind of like it's been around for a while. Isn't that a 2016 game? I think.
I think
Like,
so.
yeah, that game is possibly like 5 years old now. So they must have been working on this for a while. Although Ninja Theory also has like 3 projects in development, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, they've been splitting their teams and stuff like that.
Let's go to another big one here. Metroid Prime 4. When are we seeing that motherfucker? Oh, this got announced in 2017, and then we learned, I think, early in 2019 that they were restarting development. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Yes.
Huh. All right.
And we haven't seen it since.
All right. So I gave Metroid Prime. I gave Breath of the Wild 2 the holiday banner title. So I don't see Metroid Prime 3, or I'm sorry, Metroid Prime 4 and Breath of the Wild 2 coming out in the same holiday window. So
Hmm.
because we have seen literally nothing except the logo, I'm just gonna go with the next holiday, November 2023, for Nintendo.
I think that might be. No, it's not what I have here. Let's review mine. I have this on March 2023. So a little weird. Don't know why I picked that date.
It almost kind of seems arbitrary because, like, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, I would say
Yeah.
March 2023 makes more sense to release Metroid Prime Trilogy on the Switch to like
Mhm.
drum up excitement for the holiday title.
Maybe when I picked this, I was looking at the release date for the previous game, so I kind of want to pull that up now, um, and see when did the Retro Studios um games come out. Let's see.
It's almost kind of a little ballsy of me because I don't know if they would want to give Metroid a banner release date. It would be reserved for like Pokemon, Mario, or Zelda. So it's
Mm,
almost kind of maybe I may be like being over optimistic about how well Nintendo wants to treat Metroid as a banner franchise.
that's a good point. Let me give you some data here. So, Metroid Prime, the first one, came out in November.
Okay.
Then, Metroid Prime 2 also came out in November.
Okay. Never mind.
Prime 3. Okay, so here we get kind of weird. So Prime 3 came out came out in August in
Ooh.
North America, and then the following March in Japan. That is weird. I wonder if that's
You know
right,
what?
but
I'm
that's what
changing. I'm
Wikipedia
changing
says.
mine just 1 month sooner. I'm gonna go with October 2023. Ah,
Okay.
October 2023. So that way it gives Nintendo marketing blitz maneuvers to put out a
Hmm.
Mario Odyssey 2 or a Mario Kart 9 or something like that. So
Donkey Kong Country Returns was
February.
November, and then Tropical Freeze was February.
Yes.
Um, So yeah, they've kind of explored the calendar there with the games from that studio. So I could see I'm gonna stick to March.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those. It's like it will be the Animal Crossing of that year,
Okay.
but it will not be the flagship like fall game,
Yeah.
which last year was Hyrule Warriors or whatever.
Yeah, not a good look for them. But yes, so yeah, that's why I'll just bump it down to October. I gave it the Mario Odyssey 1 release calendar on that one.
Okay,
All
you can
right,
pick the next one, Lewis.
let's go with you know what? Screw it. Let's go with something that I'm excited about. Uncharted 6, aka Indiana Jones.
I was about to be like, I didn't put Uncharted 6 here. Also, has there been that many Uncharted's?
No, there's only been four. Well, five if you can count the Vita.
6 if you count Lost Legacy. So
Oh,
it would be the seventh Uncharted game. Well, eighth if you count the
the
random
match,
gotcha game or
yeah,
whatever that they
yeah,
did.
match three,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, that little jewel puzzle thingy. So yeah, I want to go with Indiana Jones simply because all we did was get like a trailer that just it's not even a cinematic. It's more. Well, I guess it is a cinematic. But yeah, they announced it earlier this year. We have we have nothing to like grasp on as far as like how long it does it take for Machine Games to make a game? How far in development are they? You know,
I'll
are
give
they?
you some data. I'll
All
give
right.
you some data,
Okay.
right? So they work fast making Wolfenstein at least.
Okay.
So the New Order came out in 2014. The Old Blood came out in 2015. And there was some Quake game in 2016. Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus came out in 2017. Young Blood was 2019, same year as Cyberpilot. Some of those must be like weird little like spin-off stuff, but
Okay.
um they put out like at least three mainline Wolfenstein games in like a 5-year span.
Okay.
Now there's a difference between making a sequel to an existing game to like making something completely new.
Yes.
Um, so right now they have two things in development. Supposedly they have another Wolfenstein game. I'm not sure if this is confirmed or not, but it says on Wikipedia, which we all know is not the best reliable source for anything. And the Indiana Jones game. Their last release was in 2019.
Hmm.
So it's been like 2 years since their last release.
I am willing to bet that they just acquired the Indiana Jones license from Disney or
Mm-mm.
Lucasfilm and stuff like that. I don't think they're far along into the process. So I'm going to give them the October 2024 release window here on this one. It just sounds about right. I think Machine Games tends to come early fall, like September, October, from like the Wolfenstein stuff. So I'll go ahead
Mm-hmm.
and just peg them there, and I'll say that it's about 3 years out. So yeah.
Okay. I think you're right. I think we'll see a new Wolfenstein like sooner. I think we'll see we possibly will see a new Wolfenstein within the next like 12 or 18 months, I think. Um and then this game is probably farther out. I am going to guess though that this will be a summer game.
Hmm.
So, I'm going to put this in July of the same year that you predicted. So, 2024. We'll
All right.
see how that goes. Now, let's see what else we have here.
So
Skull and Bones.
okay. Skull and
That's a fun
Bones.
one.
All right.
Is that
Isn't that's
well, that
vaporware at this point, right? That's got to be like the most
yeah,
vaporware game in this entire list.
announced in 2017. We've seen some I think we saw it. Did we ever see it? I don't
We
even
saw
remember if we ever
gameplay of it.
saw
We
it.
saw gameplay of it on E3, where like there's like an Assassin's Creed style like ship battle and the high seas and
Uh-huh.
rains happening, all that stuff. I thought they were much farther along with all that gameplay that they showed. Um, wasn't it a situation where they're like, we didn't think it was that fun, so we didn't want to release it, so we went back to the drawing board or something like that.
I don't
Honestly,
remember.
I'm
Go ahead.
honestly like, in my opinion, I'm gonna obviously put out a date on this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if we have like a scale bound situation where it gets canceled out the calendar. Like,
Lewis, I'm gonna give you a choice right here since I made the rules. Right? I'm gonna allow you to predict for this and any other game we go through canceled. Okay? And if you predict canceled and you get it right, I'll give you 5 points.
uh,
But it's up to you. Up to you. Now,
mm,
I'm gonna put a date on it, and I'm gonna be extremely optimistic with my date. And my reasoning is this: I think this game is basically done. It's been in development for long enough. I think that there's some issues with it that they're worried about. I do think it's probably one of those situations. This happens actually in the games industry all the time where they have a game that's close to being done and they're considering canceling it because they're like, well, maybe this is not that fun or we're past the timeline for this. It's probably not this is not within the plans anymore.
like a Star Fox
Or we
2
gotta
situation. Yeah.
yeah, or like we gotta rethink the way we're doing things, etc. But I would be surprised if this game is not at least like, like 70% done or something like that at this
Okay.
point. So because of that, I'm gonna predict that this game is gonna come out next year.
Okay.
So I'm giving this September of 2022. However, I could see it equally as likely that it gets canceled. I could see it equally as likely that it vanishes and it comes back years from now. I don't know. But I'm gonna stick with the optimist route of like they have this game done, they gotta sort out some issues, they're gonna work hard on it for the next year. We're gonna see it at the next Ubisoft Forward, like or there's Ubisoft Forwards all the time, but we're gonna see it in like July next year, like during E3 season. They're gonna be like, hey, we did it, it's here, it comes out in 2 months, and it's gonna come and go and nobody's gonna care. But that's that's what I think.
You know what? I haven't been doing a lot of spring titles, so I'm gonna go ahead and give it the spring 2023 release date here.
Okay.
I'm gonna say maybe I'm looking. I looked at the Wikipedia for Skull and Bones, and it doesn't seem to give me any like red flags that would indicate to me that this game is gonna get canceled. So and probably it's probably like a bad source anyways, because why would a Wikipedia tell me that it's gonna get canceled? But you know, all that notwithstanding, I'm gonna go ahead and just say that they're gonna want it to be a holiday title, but it's gonna do that thing where they do like a Far Cry situation. It's like, oh, sorry, we're delaying it into the spring.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Another thing is that game's probably going to get renamed. I can see, you know what I think is going to happen with this game? I think it's going to be very similar to Immortals Phoenix Rising,
Hmm.
where we knew about it with the game with the name Gods and Monsters for a little bit, and then suddenly they're like, "Hey, here's the full review of the game. Here's the actual name." And then I think it came out within like 6 months of that after they did a proper review of it. So I think it's going to be one of those situations. Then people are going to play it. Maybe some people are going to like it, but it's not going to be the new Assassin's Creed. I think it's just going to be a
Well, since we're talking about Ubisoft, Beyond Good and Evil
game.
2, is that ever gonna happen?
Oh
Since
yeah, I
it's
totally
not on this
forgot about
list.
that
It's
one.
not on this list, but you
Yeah,
know, there's always a possibility that people are gonna cancel, or people are already like are already calling
I
it
don't
that it's
know.
canceled.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I base this list off of like things that I looked up, like hey, like games coming out or whatever, games coming out that we don't have release dates for, and that game didn't even come out. So I think I think people almost start forgetting about it at this point.
it
Crazy
was
enough. I know.
it was officially announced at an E3 with the cinematic
Yeah,
trailer. So,
yeah,
fuck you,
I
Dan.
know. No, no, I know, I know. That wasn't me talking shit about you for bringing it up. It was more like that show. Like I think that shows that that game is not as much on people's radars anymore. It's so because it was so long ago.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, all right.
All right.
So let's see our next one here. I'm gonna go with. You know what? Let's talk about Redfall. We just saw this with the cinematic trailer at the end of the Xbox conference, the Xbox E3 conference that we saw this year. This is being developed by Arcane. They're the developers of the Dishonored series. I think they also have like different games in development at the same time. We did not see any gameplay for this. It was just cinematic. So what are you thinking, Lewis?
I'm thinking early fall. I'm thinking August 2022. It's gonna help give them that momentum, like kind of like late summer, early fall, kind of like sweet spot Goldilocks zone, where
Mm-hmm.
Xbox can start touting about how we got games and stuff like that, and yeah, I think it sounds like to me that this game is much further along than we think or that they've let on.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, the Fame, the guy that runs the website, Level One Gaming, the YouTube channel, all that good jazz. He had one of the voice actresses on the Double XP podcast, and it sounds she didn't answer, like she wasn't allowed to answer whether or not she was done with her voice lines, but I get the sense of feeling that she's done with her voice lines. Is what I'm speculating here. So I'm gonna go ahead and just say, yeah, that sweet spot, August 2022.
You just helped me because I kind of had no idea when this game was coming out, and I was thinking further away. But you kind of led me to believe that 2022 might be right, and I'm gonna give
That
it
made you change your prediction.
yes. I'm gonna give it the October month instead. So I'm thinking so like we'll have that will be the Xbox in my plan. That would be the Xbox game for October, and then Starfield would be the Xbox game for November
So yeah,
next year.
so you're
Yeah.
like fuck Hellblade,
Yeah.
because that's where I give
Yeah,
you give him my Hellblade release.
exactly. So
Yeah,
since I pushed Hellblade out, I think next year will be Redfall and then
yeah.
um,
Okay,
Starfield.
okay.
All right. Pick the next one, Lewis.
All right, let's go ahead and go with Perfect Dark, that N64 gem that Xbox finally is doing something with.
Right.
I think that because we only saw a cinematic and we haven't heard or seen anything from it since, this game is not in any way, shape, or form a 2022 game. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 2023 release window, and I haven't quite decided on the month. So Dan, I'll let you go first, and it'll inform my decision.
All right, let me think. So this is difficult because it's the first game by a new studio. The
Oh
studio is
yeah.
called The Initiative. It was founded by in Santa Monica when and I remember it was advertised as like, oh, this is Xbox's like quadruple A studio, right? So maybe this is a more apt comparison to Naughty Dog in a way, like it's even nearby to it, it's even close to it, close to Sony Santa Monica as well. The only reason why I didn't compare it before is it seems like they're going with something like that is not the traditional like third person Naughty Dog game. And that's the kind of comparison I was making there. But so this studio, like, it was announced that it was founded at E3 2018. And I know that for a long time, and I know this because I applied. I wanted to work at the studio. I applied to them a few times. They had like they were in kind of like building up the studio phase for a while. Like they I want to say up until like maybe like the end of 2019, they were pretty much still hiring for the major positions, like looking for the directors and then looking for the department leads and stuff like that. So my guess is that they didn't really start on anything big for the game itself probably until like 2020, and then the pandemic hit, and
Hmm.
and that must have affected things as well. So here's where I think this game is right now. If I had to guess, I think they probably have something playable in a very they have outlined the story that they want to do. They have a bunch of concept art. But given that this is like the first game the studio is making, I think this game is probably 4 years out from now. Um, and
Whoa.
that would put it, since we're in 2021, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm gonna put this game on 2025, and I'm just gonna put it in the holiday. So I'm gonna give this November of 2025.
I was actually thinking not 2025, but I was thinking November actually because when I'm looking at my predictions so far, I do not have a holiday banner title for Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking holiday 2023. And I'm thinking this game is like, I don't see a situation where Xbox and Microsoft is announcing a perfect dark game that's that far out, that it's mid to late cycle, like console cycle. I think they would want to drum up support or some hype for something that's reasonably to be expected, to be released pretty soon. Like, and I say soon with like, a stretching of a definition. So that's why I'm thinking November 2023.
Okay. I mean that yeah, that would probably have meant they made the game in um you know what? That would have meant they made the game in 4 years, which seems reasonable. So I think you have a good one there. I think I'm probably overdoing it with the amount of time that I'm giving them. And also I want to change it just because I'm going to keep it in the same year so that it doesn't seem like I'm just going after you. But since I put Elder Scrolls 6 in November of that
Oh,
year,
you
I'm
did. I
gonna
see
bring
that.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring this game earlier to. You know what? I'm gonna say August,
Oh, I thought you were gonna give
August
it that
2020.
spring title.
Yeah,
That spring, like, yeah. Hmm.
yeah, yeah, whatever. Summer.
Yeah.
This feels so speculative,
Yeah, I
at
know,
this
right?
point with some of these games. Like we have no idea what state of development that game is.
True.
Um. All right. So we have what? We have 4, 5, 7 games left. So let's see if we can do those maybe a little bit faster. The Outer Worlds 2, we saw this as well. We got an announcement that had like nothing in it. It was a very funny announcement at the Xbox showcase. However, I'm gonna go bold with this one, and I'm gonna give it October of 2022, which I just realized lines up with some other stuff that maybe I should change. So I put Redfall in October. So I'm actually gonna put this game. mm, what else is Obsidian? Because Obsidian is really fast, but they're working on multiple stuff right now. So maybe September. All right, September of 2022. And here's why. The Outer Worlds 1 came out in 2019. I think this game will be more of like a 1.5 of in regards to the Outer Worlds 1. I think will be like basically a new campaign but using like the same engine, a lot of the same assets. I don't think it's gonna reinvent the wheel. And the reason is because Obsidian is also working on Avowed, which will be the next one we do. And I think that one is gonna be like the bigger, like new IP RPG that they're gonna put most of their focus in. I think the Outer Worlds 2 is gonna be more of like a little treat to the fans. Like, hey, you liked Outer Worlds? Here's another 20 hours within that universe. And I think it's the kind of game that they'll get done. Like, assuming they started on it in 2019, I think they'll get it done in 3 years. So I'm guessing September 2022.
You know, honestly, did they advertise the Outer Worlds as the as a 2022 release date, as a 2022 game in E3? Because I don't even remember.
I don't think they gave it a date, but I could be wrong. It was the one where they did that trailer where it's like we
Yeah, I
got
know.
nothing
Yeah,
to show, and
yeah,
it was like really funny.
I remember that. Yeah, yeah. You know what? I'm looking at my releases, and I have to give it your same release, September 2022 here, simply
Mhm.
because when I'm looking at my 2022 fall lineup, I have in August I have Redfall. So in September would be the Outer Worlds, and then October is going to be Hellblade, and then November is Bethesda. So basically, yeah, it's basically like a big game or a big exclusive 1 month after another. So that's the only where I can place it to where I can get it to fit in, unless I were to go ballsy with it and say that they're gonna be giving it a December 2022 release date, which I don't see Xbox doing that. The only of the major publishers that have done that is like Nintendo with like Xenoblade or Nintendo with Smash Ultimate. So yeah.
All right, and then the next Obsidian game is Avowed, which we saw in 2020. And I'm also going bold with this one, and I don't know if this necessarily makes sense, but I'm putting it in July of 2023. The logic there is that it just seems like a good place for it, and I do kind of get this impression that Obsidian is basically Microsoft's Insomniac in the sense that they seem to just kind of crank out games pretty fast. I mean, they did the Outer Worlds and then they put out Grounded and now they have like two games in development. And I think there was something else in the middle there that I'm also missing. Um, so I think, like they'll do a 1-2 punch relatively close to each other. Like here's Outer Worlds 2 next year, here's Avowed.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the 1-2 punch. Since I have Perfect Dark at November of 2023, I'll go ahead and put Avowed at October of 2023 to help build up that fall lineup or holiday lineup.
Sounds good. Let's continue in the Microsoft bandwagon and then wrap it up with them. Then we got two more Microsoft games here. Fable, which is being developed by Playground Games. It's untitled right now, but a new Fable game, and then Everwild, which is being developed by Rare. Um, Both of these games, I think we've seen nothing really off. We've only seen like a teaser. So, what are you thinking, Lewis,
I'm gonna go ahead and put it in February of 2024. I think it's gonna be
for
like a
Fable?
spring. Yes, I'm gonna go with. Oh yes, for Fable. Yes, I think it's a spring game. I just feel like it's a situation where this game is very far out.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see like my holiday 2023 is already looking packed anyways, and I don't see them
Mm-hmm.
wanting to cannibalize themselves. They'll probably, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and just move it up a month, March 2024, so that way they have a good spring lineup going on as well.
Okay. So let's see. I have that game's definitely not coming out in 2022 in my head. 2023 starts looking possible, and at that point, I have Avowed in July in my predictions. I had Hellblade in November, so maybe somewhere in between there. I'm gonna give Fable September of 2023.
Oh, okay.
So being a little bit more optimistic there. Um, And then, although that game could take a while because it's Playground game is like first game like that, first
Yeah.
game that's not Forza. So, as far as I know, and then Everwild. Do you know anything about that game? I see that name come up a lot, around Microsoft conversation, but I don't really know anything about it.
No idea either. Here, let's go ahead and pull up a good old fashioned Google. See, I'm looking at some Google images here, and none of these things ring a bell for me. By the way, I don't even remember seeing this at
Yeah, it
all.
was definitely no, it was definitely shown at like one of the showcases that we watched. I think it was the one of the showcases from last year. But people already knew about it before. Let me pull up the page for this in like Wikipedia or something.
I have the page
Or
pulled up here on the official Xbox site, and by the way, looking at these look like screenshots straight up. So maybe this game is a little further
yeah,
along than we thought. So this, I'm thinking 2022 at this point.
yeah, it could be.
Oops, let's.
Um,
There we go.
Let me reading something from Polygon here real quick. Xbox fans wondering why Rare's Everwild didn't show up at Sunday's E3 showcase
Rare.
now have an answer. The studio has completely rebooted the open world adventure game under a new creative director, and its release multiple years away, reports Video Games Chronicle. This was posted in June of 2021. Okay, so this game has just been rebooted.
God damn it.
Um, yeah, so it probably not. Um,
Okay, well, I
yeah.
guess we're gonna go farther out here. Wow, they got official screenshots shown in the Xbox official Xbox website.
Hmm.
God, okay, let me. 2025 is looking empty here, and I don't even know if Everwild is gonna be a holiday title, like in the sense of like let's put all our eggs in this marketing basket. So I am gonna go with the
I'm
summer.
gonna give it.
Oh,
We're talking over each other
oh yeah.
because my internet is slowing down. It seems, but I'm gonna give it a March of 2024,
I'm
and then
gonna.
you can take it away.
I was gonna give it a summer 2025. So let's go with July 2025.
All right, we got two Blizzard games to do now. Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2. And I feel like those are almost like sorta interchangeable. Like both games have been in development for a while. Both games we don't know too much about yet. But I will say that I believe both games will come out next year. So I'm giving Overwatch 2 May, which I believe was the release of the first Overwatch. I think that's why I picked that.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna give Diablo 4 September.
Isn't that the same?
So
Isn't that the same release for like one of the Diablo remasters or whatever? September.
potentially,
I think September was
yeah.
yeah. Like, didn't they like do like a Diablo remake? You know what? Screw you. I'm copying you because like that's literally like this. That's literally the historical data telling us that. Like, I know for a fact September and Diablo make sense, and we know that Overwatch, the Overwatch One premiered or debuted in Memorial Day weekend in May. So
Okay, so I'm gonna make this a little interesting for you in case you want to get different. Okay,
okay.
Diablo 3 came out in May,
Hmm.
and then let me pull up Overwatch, and then Overwatch also came out in May. Okay, so it seems like Blizzard likes that May release date, so it's possible that one of them will in fact come out in May, but it could be both are
Not gonna come.
possible.
Yeah,
I
both are
think.
not coming out in May. I'll tell you that much. But let me ask you this: wasn't what Diablo game? Is it Diablo 2 Resurrected? That's coming out in September or something like that, or no?
Yeah, it must be, but I would have to like look it up.
Let's see.
You can pull up the link to Blizzard Entertainment on Wikipedia here. So Diablo Immortal, that's the mobile one. Doesn't have a date yet. Then Diablo 3 May. They don't have the. I don't think they have the releases here. Diablo 2 was June. Diablo 1 was January, but that was so long ago. I don't think it's even
Yeah,
like
Diablo 2
relevant.
Resurrected, which is like the remake, is coming out this September, September
Hmm.
2021. That's why I was thinking September.
Okay. So
Uh,
you can just be a copycat and copy me.
I think that's what the historical data is telling us. So I'm gonna go with
Okay.
that. All right. There's only one more game left, right?
Yes.
All
Now
right.
we're rounding us out with a big one. Final Fantasy 16. And that one, Lewis, I think it's a very difficult one too, because I could literally see that game coming out like next year, and I could see it coming out 5 years from now
Well, with
because
the
of
trailer that
Square
we saw
Enix.
looked very like well done and like well polished, and like we saw real gameplay, didn't we? Like with like actual like
Yeah.
combat and stuff. It almost kind of leads me to believe that this game is a lot further along. Like maybe they were just been working on it since Final Fantasy 15 was been out, and it's been out
Right.
for a long time.
So
Um,
Final Fantasy 15 came out in November of 2016. Um, kind of want to look at 13. 13 came out in December of 2009, and then 13.2 came out in December of 2011. 13.3 came out in November of 2013. Okay, so it seems like they like November, they like December, they like that holiday time frame. So I think November or December of next year seem likely for this one. What are you going with?
I'm going with September of 2022 here. I think this game is a lot further along. I think September was the original release date for Final Fantasy 15 before it got delayed. You know, when they were kind of funny, did the whole like big presentation and they got the little
Mm-hmm.
button. I think that they wanna. I think they wanna go for that. I also think that it makes sense for them to do early, like an early fall window, so that way they can get out of the way for like Microsoft and PlayStation and their holiday lineups or whatever. So yeah, I'm going with September on this one.
And that and game. So I'm gonna run through those really quick. So Avowed, I voted July of 23. You put in October of 23. Bayonetta 3, I put in September of 22. You put in October of 23. Breath of the Wild 2, you put in November of 22. Same as me. Diablo 4, I picked September of 22, and you as well. Everwild, March 24 for me. July 25 for you. Fable, September 23 for me. March 24 for you. Final Fantasy 16, you picked September of 22, and I picked November of 22. This is taking a while to read. I just realized that might have not been the best idea, but I'm gonna keep it with it. God of War Ragnarok, you picked July of 22. I picked October of 22. GTA 6, I picked September of 24. You picked September of 26. Then Halo Infinite, I picked November of 21. You picked December of 21. Hellblade 2, I picked November of 23. You picked October of 22. Horizon Forbidden West, I picked March of 22. You picked February of 22. Indiana Jones, I picked July of 24. You picked October of 24. Metroid Prime 4, you picked March 23. You picked October 23. Overwatch 2, I picked May 22, and you the same. Perfect Dark, I picked August of 25. You picked November 23. It's one of the biggest discrepancies we have. Redfall, I picked October 22. You picked August 22. Skull and Bones, I picked September 22. You picked March 23. Elder Scrolls 6, I picked November 25. You picked November 26. And The Outer Worlds 2, we both pick September of 2022. And we will see what's our farthest release date.
I
It
think with
is
me,
September.
November of
Yeah, November.
2026.
Okay, so in November of 2026, we will know who won this game.
I don't even know if there are any winners in this game.
Well, only time will tell. Lewis, get our next sound effect ready. The interesting thing is we might know like earlier on like if one of us is just like doing that much better than the other, maybe by like late 2022 or something, we
Yeah,
might already have an idea of who's winning anyway.
that is true.
Um, but with that huge topic of the show out of the way, let's try to do the rest of the show in the next 30 minutes, and let's go on and do some top news. All right, Lewis. So I bet that you are all over this one, which is why we couldn't skip top news this week. We got a new Nickelodeon game that got announced. It's a Nickelodeon Smash Brothers like called Nickelodeon All Star Brawl. And I'm going to read the announcement here from IGN, as reported by Joe Screbbles. IGN can exclusively announce Nickelodeon All Star Brawl, a new fighting game featuring characters from SpongeBob SquarePants, Rugrats, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Ren and Stimpy, and more. The brawler, which looks to be similar to Super Smash Bros. In style, will come to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch in fall of 2021. It's being developed by Ludosity and Fairplay Labs and published by Game Mill Entertainment. Check out a review trailer below. You can see on the site. We got the original roster here. We got Michelangelo and Leonardo from TMNT. We got Nigel from the Wild Thornberries. We got Powdered Toast Man from Ren and Stimpy. SpongeBob SquarePants. Sandy Cheeks from SpongeBob SquarePants as well. Patrick Star as well. Obelina from Ah Real Monsters, Lucy Loud from The Loud House, as well as Lincoln Loud, Helga from Hey Arnold, Raptor from Rugrats, Zem from Invader Zem, and Danny Phantom from Danny Phantom. So, Lewis, what do you think about this?
So I've never been a Nickelodeon guy. The only
Really?
Nickelodeon show I've ever watched as a kid was the Rugrats.
Mm-hmm.
And of all things, like I completely even forgot that that dinosaur was even a Rugrats character. Like that's straight up. So the fact is, they don't want to have like toddlers and babies fighting. So they just got to go with the next best thing. It's like, well, we got to have Rugrats representation. So that toy, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that makes sense. Um, I was actually a little like lukewarm on this at first, but I've been seeing a lot of hype online, and it's sort of like been rubbing off on me and stuff like that. The gameplay that was shown in the trailer actually looks halfway decent, actually. So one of the problems with Smash clones is that um, for the most part, Smash clones have been doing this thing where they want to differentiate themselves and not just be a Smash clone. Like the biggest example that I can think of is like the PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale. That fighting mechanic sucked ass, and that's because they were trying
Mm-hmm.
to be different for the sake of being different. So if they're doing a straight up thing where they're like, you know what, we're doing the exact same button inputs and moves as Smash Brothers, and we, you know, who gives a hell? Who gives a hell if we're doing the exact same thing? We're doing it, and we're doing our branding, our Nickelodeon branding. So if they can pull off a situation where it's like fun, exciting gameplay that just what I look for in a Smash clone, then I'll be probably there for it. And also, I've been hearing that this possibly may have like rollback netcode, and that would be better because the only Smash game that's got rollback netcode is Melee, and that's a mod. So it'd be nice.
You know, I'm not the Smash guy. You're the Smash guy, even though I enjoy playing them casually. So looking at this game, and I had heard about it, seen the stories, but I hadn't really seen it until now. And the screenshots I think look terrible. Like the game does not look good in screenshots, but it actually looks good in motion, in my opinion.
Yes.
And it looks extremely fast paced. Like this game looks more fast paced than Smash, at least than current Smash. Do you agree with that, or do you think that's just my not well trained eyes?
A little bit, but yeah, no, I actually kind of sort of agree. Like Smash Brawl, Smash
Hmm.
4, and Smash Ultimate are a little slow. This definitely, like, the fastest Smash game there is Melee. And this does give me sort of that Melee vibe and stuff when it comes to, like, combos and just all around, like, kinetic, fast paced kinetic energy.
Now the question is, are we going to be seeing regular, new character announcements for this game, and are they going to do like Smash Brothers level hype trailers? Because there's a lot of characters that are missing from this. And I did grow up on Nickelodeon a little bit more than you did, I guess. I do like a lot of these characters, not all of them. Some of them I think are not from my time. Maybe a little bit older or maybe younger, but there's plenty that I recognize and like. And but I'm very excited for the stuff that's not there yet. I'm very excited to see more of it.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's a situation where they can do one of two things. Right now, like the reported rumors is that they showed like a fake, like a box art, by the way, with all the characters like shadowed, like silhouettes,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody was saying, "Oh, look at that hand. That's Aang's hand from Avatar: The Last Airbender," and I'm like. You know what? If Aang is in this game, I'm gonna buy this game day one straight up. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I do love Avatar, so I'll give him that. But also like there's like a thing that's saying like people are saying oh I think it's like 20 stages so far, and like if they do the thing where there's like one stage per character, then that means that there's 8 unannounced characters, and they're gonna do that thing where like in Smash 64 whenever like they advertise the game they only advertise with 8 characters, and then there was 4 secret unlockable characters they didn't ever talk about in PR. So I'm thinking it's a situation where they're like there's other characters that are unannounced and they're gonna keep them unannounced so that way they can be unlocked through normal gameplay when it comes to release. So I can sort of get that old school like Smash thing where it's like, oh my god, a new character, and it's like all exciting and stuff like that. I see
Yeah.
one of two things happening. Either A, they're gonna do a season pass where like the characters that didn't make the cut, or B, they're just gonna, since it's an indie studio, I believe. Uh, I think they're just gonna do a thing where they're not gonna release any new characters and they're just gonna save it for the sequel.
Yeah. I would also say that there's a lot of franchises in there that are represented by just one character that they probably could very easily just add more of from the same franchise. Like they got two turtles, right? I think they could easily just have like the other two turtles as well with like a similar move set and maybe like a few like unique things and etc. So I think we're gonna see a lot of that from the potential new character announcements. But we'll see.
All right.
Moving on to the next story here. This one reported by Sam Machkovac for Ars Technica. Netflix will start publishing video games and has hired a former EA exec. We will not be commenting on the EA exec for obvious reasons. I bring it up all the time. Disclaimer: I work for EA and etc. But we want to talk about Netflix. Netflix's growing fascination with video games will soon explode in the form of a full-fledged game publishing arm. While Netflix has yet to post its own announcement about the initiative, the streaming video provider has confirmed to Ars Technica that it has hired a former EA and Oculus exec to lead a Netflix game publishing team. While Netflix has not yet confirmed what shape its video game publishing arm might take, Bloomberg reporter Mark Gurman has suggested that the effort could lead to video games as part of its service in the next year. The use of video games as a descriptor is key, as that differentiates the effort from the choose your own adventure TV specials that have become more common on the service since Black Mirror's Bandersnatch special debut in 2018. In addition, Netflix has spent the past half decade building a collection of exclusive TV series based on video game licenses. We know about that. It's besides the point. So, Lewis, I had a theory a while ago, and when I was talking to some friends of mine, that I said that I believe one day you will be able to log into Netflix and you're going to scroll through those styles. All those styles are going to be like non-interactable movies or shows. Some of those styles are going to be full-on video games, and it's going to be a sliding scale of anything in between, with things like Bandersnatch or the Walking Dead game being somewhere in that line in the middle. And that you're going to go through categories, and some categories will be like video games, and other categories will be like maybe it'll be like a zombie stuff, and then it will have like a mix of like different things with different levels of interactability, and they're gonna have like different like icons and stuff to indicate like oh, like this is just like completely passive or fully interactable or whatever. um that was a theory I had. It was like kind of out there like a few years ago when talking to a friend. When I see this, I feel like my theory might have some chance of becoming true, perhaps in the near future, to some extent at least. What do you think?
I'm not about this news. I feel like Netflix needs to stay in their lane, but whatever. I
Hmm.
guess they need to differentiate themselves to like growth, you know, whatever. But like
Yeah.
in my head, I'm thinking to myself, how is this gonna work? Because like honestly, when you think about Netflix and on a TV, you don't really have a controller. Like the controller you use is like a
Hmm.
up, down, left, right, and enter. It's just very simple. It's very basic, and things like Telltale's The Walking Dead can work on it. I think they even might have even done it already, like a Telltale style game already on Netflix. So if they're
Hmm.
gonna do more of that, then whatever. I'm not entirely happy with the idea of a game that's being developed for a movie streaming service, and it's gonna be a situation where there won't be a physical copy that exists because if Netflix ever goes bankrupt or the servers ever go down, there's not going to be like a
Mm.
hard copy of whatever intellectual property Netflix has decided to pour resources into developing. So that's not good for game preservation side of things. But also just I'm thinking to myself like, what can you do? What can Netflix do to make a good meaty game on its service? And I'm thinking to myself, well, there's a Netflix app on PlayStation. There's a Netflix app on Xbox. Could you
Yeah.
leverage the DualSense and the Xbox controller through the Netflix app that way, so you can have a game or whatever? Or is it a situation where, no, it's just pointer. It's like little wand controls that come with your
You
TVs.
know, the information about this stuff is still like vague enough to where we can speculate a lot of different ways and we don't know for sure where they're going, what they're going for. I mean, there is a possibility out there that they're just starting a new arm altogether, and they're just going to be publishing games that are actually box copies of games that you can buy or you can buy digitally through storefronts. And it's not like this other crazy stuff that we're thinking about. However, just like for instance, like Humble Bundle became a game publisher and they publish games, right? But the way I look at it is that like I think they're gonna work at bringing games that already exist and then also making new games to the platform in a way that, you know, if you are using the Netflix app on a PlayStation, you can play that game through Netflix on your PlayStation with your PlayStation controller. And on Xbox it would be the same thing. And if you're playing on a smart TV, you would need to sync a controller to the smart TV to do it, or on a phone, like same thing, just like you can do it, you know, with XCloud and stuff like that. And I think that's kind of what they're going for. It would be like, I think they're seeing like XCloud become a thing and like Google try to do with Stadia and etc. And they're looking at it and thinking, well, we already have the number one streaming platform in the world. Are we able to do this too? And I think they're gonna, in a lot of ways, they're gonna take a page out of, you know, Xbox's book and try to do something similar, like hey, like sync a controller and then maybe you can access the separate menu and see like the video games that we have, and then you can stream them to your smart TV or whatever. Or I don't know, perhaps if you're running it on a PS4 there will even be some way where you can maybe run it natively locally, but
I
that
mean,
seems complicated, so I'm not sure if that's what they would go for.
honestly, when it comes to reading the tea leaves on this, it does kind of sort of make sense.
Mhm.
Like, I know I'm kind of like negative on this news, but there was a quote that one of the Netflix executives said that, you know, he gave a quote about a competition. Like, we're not in competition with like movie theaters or whatever. We're in competition with Xbox. We're in competition with Fortnite. We're trying to
Yeah.
we're fighting for your attention and stuff like that. We can see the numbers of when people like don't finish a show or don't finish a movie or leave us on pause for like forever, that kind of thing. So
Hmm.
I can sort of see that this is just another power play for Netflix to remain top dog, to remain relevant. Which is kind of like, it almost kind of makes me kind of feel very like cynical about how I'm saying it, but it is kind of true though. I guess with Netflix, they're always in growth mode.
Hmm.
So yeah, fair enough.
I will say this. I think Netflix makes really good TV shows. And I think that they have been a positive change for the TV space. So if they can somehow become a positive change for the gaming space as well, and perhaps become the ideal streaming service for games above all these other, like in quotes, failed attempts or just like uninteresting attempts like Stadia and Amazon Luna and Facebook gaming and all of that stuff, I'll be rooting for Netflix, at least compared to some of these other competitors. But we shall see. We shall see what happens.
Okay.
Um, Now, here's another new thing. Steam Deck is Valve's answer to the Switch, and it's out in December. Bringing up a Kotaku article here reported by Mike Fahey and Ethan Gack. Steam Deck is a new portable gaming device from Valve that basically looks and functions exactly like a Nintendo Switch. Models start at $400 and will release December of 2021. Valve announced this week over on Steam. Um, we've partnered with AMD to create Steam Deck's custom APU optimized for handheld gaming. It is a Zen 2 plus RDNA 2 powerhouse, delivering more than enough performance to run the latest AAA games in a very efficient power envelope, the company writes. The Steam Deck thumbsticks are designed for extended play sessions, and the owner's entire Steam library will be available when they log on. There's even a dock sold separately to connect to TVs and computer monitors. Sold separately? Come on.
Yeah.
The device will sport a 7-inch screen, which puts it on par with Nintendo's recently announced OLED Switch, and just ahead of the existing Switch and Switch Lite in terms of size. The controllers don't appear to be detachable like the Joy-Cons, but maybe that means they won't have any drift either.
Damn.
Um, and then there's the different pricing options in here, so I just kind of want to bring up this part as well. It is $400 for 64 gigabytes of internal storage, 530 for 256 gigabytes SSD, an exclusive Steam Community Profile bundle, whatever that is, and then $650 for the high end 512 gigabyte SSD storage and an anti glare etched glass screen. Lewis, how do you feel about this?
I'm actually kind of like not like happy or excited. I'm just sort of like positive, lukewarm, sort of thing. I'm not sure I want this. I barely PC game as it is. My Steam library isn't that big, but there's a lot to glean from this because number one, the official dock isn't required. Actually, third-party docks can work with it, so you don't necessarily need
Hmm.
to pay that extra for that first-party dock. I've also seen like IGN's coverage where they can, like the trackpads are essentially like a mouse, and they're very accurate or whatever, and they can be programmed they're very customizable. I've seen them use it, as like with pair of keyboard and mouse, like a real keyboard and mouse, and run these games pretty competently. So I've also seen a lot of like a lot of people on Twitter are like very happy that you can like uninstall the Steam OS and install Windows, so that way you can put all the launchers like Epic Games launcher and they put the Epic Game Store on there, as well as every other launcher there is from like Humble Bundle and stuff like that. So basically, this is like literally a mother effing PC, like a real PC with good, pretty decent specs. And I'm actually kind of like in this kind of like positive-y, kind of like lukewarm thing where it's like I don't necessarily want it. I'm not exactly necessarily the audience because I don't even PC game myself, even though I have a really legit PC. But like maybe there's a way for me to just get into PC gaming because I could treat it like a Switch Pro that I've been wanting, So
Right.
yeah,
That's an interesting point. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any problem against this device existing. I think it seems like a cool device. It seems like a powerful device. It's basically a powerful PC in your hands. Um, Granted, the games on it are probably going to be pretty heavy too, which is why you probably would want to go for the higher end model with the 512 gig of storage because that 512 even that 512 gigabytes is not going to go a long way when you have like
Call of
full,
Duty 200
yeah,
gigabytes,
like full on PC games downloaded to this thing, and
Well, I
actually trying
mean,
to take advantage
it
of
has a
all its
micro
power.
SD. It has a micro SD card slot, so you can buy one of those 2 terabyte micro SD cards even on the
True.
64 gigabyte model. But one of the things that
Right.
was needed to be noted is that the 256 gigabyte and the 512 gigabyte models, those use the faster SSD, that NVMe storage that
Yes.
the PlayStation 5 uses and the Xbox Series uses. So that way you can have those fast ass load times.
Now, here's where I'm not sure. Like, I don't, like I said, I don't have a problem with this existing. I'm definitely not gonna buy it, especially because, like, I already have a Switch. I already have consoles. I'm interested in upgrading, my PC. But this would be like so far down the list, for the things that I'll be interested in for me to actually justify that big of an expense with it. Um, and here's the thing I want to say about it though. Like, I do think it's like a cool device. I don't know if this I don't think this is gonna sell. Like I will be surprised if this is successful at selling a lot because at this price point, um, we haven't seen like we've never seen a portable device be successful at this price point. I don't think we've ever seen a portable device even close to this price point. The Switch is highly successful at $100 cheaper than the cheapest model of this. Um, so I don't
I
know.
mean,
I just feel like I can't say the audience for it either. By the way, because
Apple
I feel
sells
like
iPads for $1,000 a pop every year. There's a possibility.
that's true. That's true. That's true. I just feel like the way I look at it is like the audience that the audience that likes portable gaming, I feel like they're mostly happy with the Switch, and I don't think they're gonna go out of their way to buy this thing either in addition or as a replacement to their Switch. I actually think the people that would want, this beefed up Switch Pro that is 100, 200, $300 more expensive is a very small percentage of the people that actually buy these consoles. So, but I don't know. So I'm just saying I would be surprised if this sold millions of units.
Yeah,
Um,
I would be the kind of audience that would buy this because I like having Jaguars and Ferraris like that. But at the same time, I'm not entirely sold either. So
right,
yeah,
right. All right, so we got a few more stories here. Next one, I thought you would be interested on this, Lewis, because it's kind of insane. We talk about China's influence in the gaming space. Sometimes I know you like to talk about China a lot on Ready Play Movies. Shout out! You can find that on all your podcast services out there every Tuesday. So China's Midnight Patrol cracks down on young gamers, and I'm bringing this up from BBC News. Chinese gaming giant Tencent is rolling out facial recognition to stop children playing games between 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. The Midnight Patrol technology will stop tricks circumventing the government curfew introduced in 2019 with a cap on what young gamers could spend on in game transactions, it says. The bans require gamers to register with their official IDs linked to a national database, but children have reportedly been using adults' IDs instead of their own. And now, anyone playing for a certain length of time will require a facial scan to prove they are an adult. Tencent started testing the system in 2018, but it will now cover more than 60 games from the world's biggest game company. This is insane.
That is
This is
insane.
insane. I feel so bad for the people that are growing up over there with this because I will tell you some of my funnest, most happiest memories of being a kid were, sneaking, like trying to sneak in some gaming where my one of my parents expected me to be sleeping instead. And I think that's part of like the formative like years, like the things that you got to do as a child to kind of like come into your own person and have fun and like break the rules sometimes. Like it doesn't hurt anybody to really do that. So it sounds crazy to me that they would introduce a system like this. And it's just kind of another it's
See,
another one of those points.
this is the big brother shit that really gets me scared about how China's like global dominance and like the
Yep.
entertainment industry and stuff like that. So honestly, I'm just gonna poo poo this news. I don't really have much insight to say other than I am not in the least bit surprised. There has been a lot of like Chinese programs that have been implemented over the past few years to sort of control social like dogma, basically.
Right.
Like one of those social points or whatever that they were doing. Like there's been an episode of Black Mirror, and that China has basically implemented and stuff. So honestly, like, it just sucks. I don't. I am very uncomfortable with the fact that you imagine having to play. Imagine like being able to play Fortnite. I have to use my driver's license, my social security number, and do a facial recognition scan. Like that would. Well, I don't think that would fly here in America. So it's just like a completely different like it's just a completely different world from that these two countries live in, and it's really easy to see a situation where like these extremes don't happen like suddenly and overnight. They're it's like a slow crawl to get to that point where the citizens of your country are not like rebelling or revolting against it. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of things that I can wrap my head around, but the idea that a kid can't play games past 10 p.m. even though like even if their parents allow it, you know what I mean, like in their own house, because there's a facial recognition software in their phone that will detect it and keep them out of the game. That is straight up like sci-fi movie shit to me. That is like absolutely unacceptable. So that's really what the outcome is that what we have to say there. Lewis, I'm going to kick off the next two stories. I'm going to kick them to the end of extra news. So I'm going to go straight to extra news now. We're going to end up having 15 items. And some of them are like things grouped together. So this is the biggest extra news segment that we're probably ever done here.
A baker's dozen.
We're not that podcast, Lewis. All right. Um, I'm actually gonna skip. I'm gonna remove this first one.
Oh, it's very
All right.
self-serving of you. I'm not gonna say what it is, but I know what you
Yeah,
did.
yeah, yeah. Um, all right. So I'm gonna have to decrease all these numbers. Number one, Hideo Kojima has stated that he's not a fan of calling the upcoming PS5 version of Death Stranding the director's cut. It wasn't his choice. Number two, Psychonauts 2 will feature an invincibility toggle to enable all Asia's all possible needs to enjoy the game. Number three, following its return to PlayStation Store last month, Cyberpunk 2077 immediately became the best selling digital PS4 title in Europe, Canada, and North America. Number four, according to weekly publication Nikken Taishu, the upcoming Yakuza spin off game Lost Judgment will be the last in its series due to a disagreement with the lead actor. Number five, developer Atlas is making the 25th anniversary of Persona franchise with some big news as the studio teased not one but seven new announcements for the series. Number six, A copy of revolutionary 1996 classic Super Mario 64 sold for $1.56 million at an auction last Sunday, which was a record for video games. There's other games that were sold in the same action, including a copy of Skyrim for the Xbox 360, which got sold for 600 bucks. Number 7. The official PlayStation website seems to have leaked the existence of a Gran Turismo 7 beta test, with players invited to complete a simple task to get access. Number 8. The Witcher 3's next gen console update will include DLC items inspired by the live action Netflix series. Number 9. Deathloop will remain a PS5 console exclusive until at least September 14, 2022. So it's a 1 year deal there. Number 10, actor Christopher Judge, who voiced Kratos in God of War 2018, will lend his voice to Black Panther in the upcoming Marvel's Avengers expansion. Number 11, on a recent appearance on the Kind of Funny Gamescast podcast, Xbox head Phil Spencer has complimented PlayStation's DualSense and suggested that it might inspire new features for Microsoft's controller. He also said that he's worried about the state of video game preservation and called for all platform holders to come together to figure out a way to safeguard the industry's history. Number 12, Ghostwire Tokyo, the forthcoming PlayStation 5 action adventure game from Tango Gameworks, has been delayed to early 2022. And other delays announced this week included Warhammer 40k Dark Tide and Resident Evil Reverse, both also coming in 2022. And then the two stories that were going to be top news but that are moving out. Microsoft is reportedly still planning to discontinue Xbox Live Gold and make online multiplayer free, as reported by VGC. And then we got our first confirmed companies to be at this year's Gamescom, and that list includes companies such as 505, Activision, Bandai Namco, Bethesda Softworks, EA, Koch Media, Sega Europe, Team 17, Ubisoft, Xbox, and notably does not contain PlayStation.
Of course not.
Yeah. Well, they've been at Gamescom before, so um, there was some level of expectation there. All right, Lewis. I need to catch my breath. So talk about whatever you want to talk about for a few minutes.
All right. So the rumor about Xbox discontinuing Xbox Live Gold is very troublesome, simply because of that is something where I have a bunch of my games that I own are through Xbox Live Gold. So yeah, I don't know. It just seems very. It seems. I'm reading this article and it seems like it's certainly within the realm of possibility because they're putting all of their eggs in the Game Pass basket and they're talking about their milestones and the subscriptions and stuff like that. So obviously, Game Pass is gonna make Xbox more money than Gold ever will. Probably already has. So if there's a situation where they can appease me with all of my legacy Gold claims, then I'll be happy. I wouldn't mind it. But that's the only way I would be. I'd be happy with that news. I would poo-poo it if it's like, and you got to rebuy every game that you've ever claimed. I'm like, whoa, god damn it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that. We talked about that one before in the sense that like I think they need to do it eventually, but I just think they need to figure out a way to do it to not have any cons basically.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if that's possible. It must be a legal nightmare actually to figure out how to do that as far as all the licensing goes, right? Like cuz they must have negotiated all these licenses with these, license holders in a way like, hey, like you're letting us give people like access to this game. Although like, if let's say I'm like Ubisoft or something and I negotiate with Microsoft like, hey, you can have this game to give away for Xbox, Live Gold members, then they're probably paying a certain amount of money that is representative of the amount of copies of the game that they're basically going to be giving away. I know it's not like they're not paying the price of the game, but they're probably paying like maybe
Uh,
like $1 per account or something. You know what I mean? So at that point, like, does it like aren't they basically just buying the game license anyway? Like, does Ubisoft really care that the people stay subscribed to Xbox Live through like the whole time that they have the game? Like, because at that point, it doesn't make a difference for them. Is what I'm getting to. Like, or does it?
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
get to keep all of your Assassin's Creeds that you've claimed through Xbox
Yeah.
Live Gold, as long as you're still paying us on a monthly basis for Game Pass. Like they give us like a terms and condition pop up that you have to agree to or something like that.
Yeah. Because
uh,
to me, like, does that mean that they're paying like, are they paying all the companies regularly, like on a like a yearly basis
I think it's
for
like a
like
one.
all these
My
game
understanding,
licenses?
it's a one-time deal where it's like
I think so
if
too.
you pay the company for all of the sales that you're missing out on for that 1 month, and that's it. So Xbox is the one that cares that you're paying them on a month-to-month basis, not so much the companies. So
Hmm. So I think the Yakuza story is actually kind of funny. I didn't read it in full, but it seems like the actor who plays the main character on the Judgment games, really doesn't like PC gaming, and he got mad that they put the game on PC, so he doesn't want to do them anymore, and they're considering like canceling the whole franchise.
oh my god.
Um, so that's kind of like a weird, insane story. And then the Kojima story is that he said that like he had a Twitter thread about how director's cut means this, and that he doesn't like that Metal Gear like or Death Stranding director's cut is named that because it makes it seem like it's something else than what it is or whatever. Showing that it was a Sony decision and not a Kojima decision, which we could have predicted after we saw Ghost of Tsushima director's cut. So it sounds like that's just like a new naming convention that they're gonna use for PS5 like remasters of their games. You know what I mean? With added content.
Okay. I need to
Yeah.
know what kind of insanity there is where they're selling a copy of Mario 64 for $1.5 million. Like, what the hell? Like,
It was a new like sealed like copy, like never open copy. I think that was it. And it was like the biggest transaction in video games history. You can, if you pull up the link there, they have the other games that they sold as well, and there's some other like outrageous like things as well. I thought the Skyrim for $600 was funny because Skyrim doesn't feel like a retro game to me. Like it's still like it's coming out in new platforms all the time. Like you can get it like for free everywhere, like or like super cheap. Like, but it was a sealed copy of Skyrim. But they also sold a sealed early copy of The Legend of Zelda for $870,000. A sealed copy of Super Mario World for $360,000. An early copy of the first Tomb Raider for $144,000. Um,
and then Red Dead
so
Redemption for the
yeah,
Xbox 360 for $384. Like, what the hell?
yeah,
Like, 360 games should not be valuable, even if they're brand new and sealed. Like, oh my god, like what the hell? Um, But yeah,
yeah,
no. Looking at this one,
yeah.
it's got one of the highest ratings. So like the reason why $1.5 million was because it's got an A++ rating.
Hmm.
There's no such thing as a 10 when it comes to ratings. But they gave Mario 64 a 9.8 on the rating scale. So like I don't even know if there is such a thing as a sealed game that's rated a 10. It's like there's no imperfections. It's like there's no creases. No, there's always something that's always wrong that they always mark off something. So I don't know. Like it just seems really weird to like buy a copy of a game that the only way for you to maintain value is for you to never break the seal. It's like whatever.
Hmm. Yeah. Lewis, we've been going for a bit here. We're at 147. So here's what I'm thinking. We could either skip all of the rest and end the show now and punt everything to next week. So we would do like 2 weeks worth of new releases and etc. next week. Or I'll give it to you and you can still do new releases and deals. But we're definitely skipping. Like, check this out. We can do that next week. I know it's already been, we already skipped that one a few times, but
All
what do
right,
you think?
I'm just gonna do. I just want to do Battle Bus, and that's it. But I'm gonna just tell you
Okay,
right now, real quick, since we always do. The Epic Game Store is only 1 week at a time, so this week's
good.
free
Yeah.
games for Epic Game Store is something called Abduction. It says from the creator of Myst and Off-World Trading Company. So those are the two free games of the month or for the week on Epic Game Store. And next week's games are allegedly Defense Grid and World War One Verdun Western Front. So never heard of any of those four titles, but there you go. And let's go ahead and do the battle bus. All right. So for the battle bus, there's only one thing that I really want to talk about, and that's about me. But we'll go ahead and just pay some lip service to LeBron James here. In case you guys don't know, Space Jam: A New Legacy, the movie is coming out as well as the game, which we'll read next week on new releases. But they're doing a Fortnite skin where King LeBron James is there in Fortnite. He's playable. He's got the Toon Squad skin for like Space Jam. He's got several skins where he's got the little crown and everything like that. Just really buying into the hype that is LeBron James. So, yeah, I haven't got the skin yet, but I'm gonna next time I log in, I'll claim it or I'll buy it with my V Bucks. I don't really have much to say about Fortnite beyond that. So, is this even a skin that's even on your radar, Dan?
Not really. I don't. With all due respect to LeBron James, I don't really follow basketball, so I don't. Probably not.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So the thing that I really wanted to talk about for the battle bus is actually about me and my results for Smash or Pass 7 that happened last week. So I have the VOD up on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/musing with Menchaka. Go check it out. It's like a 6-7 hour VOD. Let's say probably not, but I will be putting out this weekend all of the individual matches that are like 5 to 10 minutes long or however long they are. So the individual matches will be coming this weekend when I get to like put out all the breakouts. I made it to the championship round. I made it to grand finals. I think it's like my I haven't. So this is Smash or Pass 7. I have not made it to grand
Is this your
finals.
best one yet?
No, no, I've won. I've won Smash or Pass 3. Um, but I haven't made it to grand finals since Smash or Pass 4. So yeah, I've gotten third place 2 years in a row before that, and so yeah, I got second place, and it was a tight grand finals. It was very crazy. It was we went to game five, last stock, last hit, and it literally could have gone just the other way, but I got unlucky. The guy he used Hero on his last for his last game, and Hero has this thing where you can press down B and do a menu select, and it can do an instant kill move called either whack or thwack, and either one of them, if you get touched by it, you're dead. Like just well, not it's
Damn.
not it's not instant death. It can be. It's RNG. So
Right.
if it touches you, if your percentage is higher, the likelier that you'll just instant die. So
Is that the same way that it works for Mr. Game and Watch
well, Mr.
with
Game and Watch's side B is
the
called Judgment, and it's 1 through 9.
Mhm.
Yeah, 1 through 9 is it's if it's a 9, it will probably kill. Like it's very powerful, but generally speaking,
Mhm.
yeah, you're probably not going to survive a 9 if you're even at like above 50%. But yeah, no, you don't have control over what number comes out on Mr. Game and Watch. There's a lot of characters that utilize some RNG, but Hero takes
Right.
RNG to like the next level, to like the infinite level. The fact that he pulled out Whack out of nowhere, out of left field, is just completely like BS for me because I was winning the game. By the way, like I was about to reset the bracket, but then like he just out of like I didn't even see him like press down B. Like I was going for the rush down. But yeah, like I was very happy with playing Smash Bros. Because I'm gonna tell you this right now. Like I've been playing ever since COVID happened. I have not gone online for Smash Bros. I don't play online. I usually play Smash Bros. Like locally with people. And so when I play Smash Brothers on my own time, I usually just play with the CPU, which is really weird because I can just as easily go online and do random matchmaking. But I usually go
Right.
with like level 9 CPU, play them real quick, just body them and walk away. Like play like a 20-minute session at a time kind of thing, just sort of keep my skills semi in check. But honestly, like playing against CPU, you get bad habits. It's not conducive practice. So overall, all of us were kind of rusty, and I think as the tournament went on, we all sort of got the rust out, and I think the level of gameplay sort of rose as the bracket progressed, especially during like the grand finals and stuff like that. It was a lot of matches where it's like like clenching your teeth, holding your breath, edge of your seat. It definitely felt like I even said it on the stream. Like I have not felt alive playing Smash Brothers in a long time, and it's so great to have like people that I can play Smash Bros with. That's sort of
I thought you were gonna end that sentence. I have not felt alive in a long time until
oh my god. What else to say?
Smash for Pass Seven.
It's nice that I have friends that can sort of take me to my limit and push me, and Honestly, like winning the tournament would have probably like not been good for me. It's like it's better it's better to like want to improve and get better than it is to like think that you're at the top of your game and then like walk away. Um,
Yeah.
so I was really full of myself when I won Smasher Pass 3. Um, and yeah, I just I guess being humble is nice, and it's nice to have a rival. And and yeah, the guy that won, his name is Paul. Paul has won. This is his third win at Smasher Pass. Um, and honestly, my first Smasher Pass that I ever won, I beat him, and he got second place that year. So we were sort of trading blows, but the last 2 years when I got third place, I never actually met Paul in bracket. So this is my first time fighting him in bracket since what Smasher Pass 4 or something like that. So yeah, that's a good. Just story time is over, I guess. Just all I wanted to say is, I really had a good time. There were some good friendly matches at the end of the stream. I'll be breaking them out and just be on the lookout for that on my YouTube channel. And we had a good time. It was fun.
Yeah, I popped in for a few minutes and there were people watching, so that
Yeah,
was cool too.
actually,
Yeah,
surprisingly, yeah, there was a lot of people coming through. We peaked at 7 viewers. So yeah, I was very happy with it.
cool stuff. All right, so I'm gonna leave it at that. The stuff that we didn't do this week that we typically do, we'll bring it back next week, and then we won't do a topic of the show then, so we can cover everything. It's time to end. Or you were getting the okay. Go ahead, Liz.
A little ahead of
It is
yourself
time to
there.
end. Yes. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Ready Press Play. Remember, you can reach the podcast at ReadyPlayNetwork.com or simply at Ready Press Play on Twitter or TikTok. I'm on Twitter at the Dan Lima and Lewis.
At Chocolaka88.
Don't forget to subscribe, give us a review, tell your friends about the show, and all that good stuff. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Peace.